greatest UFC journalist of all time. Self-proclaimed.
Not self-proclaimed. The people proclaim me the greatest UFC journalist of all time.
The people's journalist.
I am the people's journalist.
I thought you said it first.
No,
He's
the people.
Semantics.
He's the people's greatest journalist of all time.
The people's greatest UFC journalist of all time.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm the
gotcha.
greatest journalist of the UFC of all time. And MMA. It's not just UFC, it's MMA.
Of all
Of all time.
all fighting sports ever.
Ask me anything about UFC, I'll tell you right now.
Did you watch the fights?
Yes.
And what'd you think?
That was phenomenal. I predicted this. I told you Amanda Nunes would get fucking knocked out or choked out.
Nunes? People get mad because you keep on saying Nunes when it's Nunez.
You don't even know how to say it.
How do you pronounce it?
Nunes.
In Portuguese?
Nunes. You just have to sound a little bit more retarded. Yeah. But no, I predicted this was going to happen. Okay. Juliana Pena, just beast. Beast.
What did you know? Why did you know she was going
Because
to
she
win?
believes in herself. She believes she could do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
The world is her oyster.
Okay. All
And
right.
she also has great teeth.
Okay. Got it. And that's how you knew great teeth.
I just knew it, dude. I fucking
Actually, that's a
knew
good point.
it.
If you're a fighter with great teeth, you're probably a good fighter.
You
Probably don't
really,
get
I mean,
hit.
it's just the Venezuelan vixen, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is Venezuela. Like, these people already produce the hottest women on the planet, and there's no food. You start feeding these women, they can do anything.
Yeah.
They already produce fat ass, big tits, beautiful face, beautiful body. No food. Eating cardboard.
Natural route.
Oh, shit.
And then you start giving them real
Nutrients?
American nutrients. Chicago shit, cheese, meat, bread.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable force. It's an unstoppable force. A Venezuelan with food cannot be stopped.
That's a good ass.
What did you actually think of the fight, though? You thought it was like...
I thought it was so entertaining. It was fucking
Fight of the
unbelievable. Yeah, I think it was Fight of the Night because I think it should have been Fight of the Night just because of the sheer upset. Like, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was so incredible to see. Like, Amanda Nunes it was so, if you were watching the latest fights, like so incredibly dominant. Like, she touches you, you go to bed.
Right.
Yeah.
And she touched Pena and she walked through it, kept punching through it. She was not scared. She called her shot. She'd been calling her out for a while. She said exactly what she was going to do, and then she fucking did it. And when you do that stuff, it is just so impressive. So God bless her, man. And man, that was just so fucking awesome.
Were you a little
awesome.
bummed to see the end of the era?
No. And I'm not saying
You
that she
don't think
can't
it's
come
over?
back.
Yeah.
Like, I think she can come back, and she just has to be a little bit more. She got into a firefight. Another thing was really interesting. We were talking to Ben Askren about this, and grappling cardio is different than boxing cardio.
Okay.
So, and you saw the same thing happen in the other co-main event with Oliveira and Poirier. But Amanda, when she's on her feet, this great striker, like she can go for days striking, has all this power. But what happened? She got caught in a grapple with Pena, and that grappling cardio, Askren said, is different.
How so?
Right? Like guys who have a super long gas tank, all of a sudden they're on the ground and they're grappling, either jujitsu or wrestling, and it just tires them the fuck out, right? You saw guys that can go forever just get absolutely, thoroughly fucking exhausted. And I guess it just requires a different, I don't know, maybe it just requires a different type of muscle usage. And because of that, you gas quicker.
Right.
I don't know. Like a guy like Ben Askren, you look at his body, you're like, no, this guy doesn't have great cardio.
Right.
I bet that guy can wrestle for days. A guy like DC, you look at his body, you're like, oh, this guy probably doesn't have a great cardio.
Right.
But that guy can wrestle for fucking days.
Right.
Right? So it is a different ball game. And I think that's going to be a skill that's going to be utilized to minimize the effect of these strikers. I think we're about to be like in a new evolution of MMA. Like the sport just keeps evolving. It's crazy. Because you saw in the second fight, or in the second co-main event, Poirier Oliveira. I don't know if you guys saw it. Did you guys watch?
I did not. I was chill.
You watched. So it's like for like basically the whole, what was it? Second round? I think it was like a whole second round that Oliveira got Dustin on the ground and just kind of stood over him. And then Dustin was just kind of like holding on because he didn't want to, in the middle of the octagon, potentially give up his back or do something sneaky that could, because Oliveira is so good at jiu-jitsu. Right? So he's like, I'm basically just going to hold and get fucking pounded on for the whole round. And then they'll stop it. And we're back on the feet. I'll get back to business. But that shit taxes you, gasses you. He came back in the third. He was fucking gassed. Right? Like,
Yeah.
look, you even saw it with, remember when Izzy fought Jan Blachowicz?
Yeah, and Jan
right?
just
And Jan
laid
just
on
stayed on top of him.
Just
He
laid
wasn't
on
even
him.
trying to really score. But he was like, as long as we're not on our feet,
Yeah.
this guy doesn't have an advantage over me. And Izzy looked gassed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
Right? And now it's different. He's coming up 20 fucking pounds, fighting a guy who weighs much more than him, and a guy who's just leaning on him the whole time.
Right.
But I'd be interested to see what he has to say. Like, does he think that grappling actually taxes him in a different way? Izzy's been kickboxing since fucking, 18 or something like that.
He won't get tired on his
He's
feet.
not gonna. You'll never see him get tired throwing strikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just when he in that fight with Gastelum, do you remember 5th round? I'm prepared to die.
Yeah.
When it says it, just swinging for the
Yeah.
fences, 5th round. So it's like there's something about that cardio that's different. I mean, you even saw it like Conor, anybody who goes up against Khabib. Once Khabib starts
is
holding
fucking
you,
unbelievable.
That's a wrap.
something's different about that cardio. So that might be a good strategy used for the strikers. And I wonder if we're about to be in this new era where, like, one of the earlier eras was these jiu-jitsu guys came and they started fucking tapping these people out.
Right.
And if you didn't have any skill with jiu-jitsu, once someone grabbed you, it was over.
Yep.
They just tangle you up and then find a way to tweak some part of your body or get that fucking neck, and then it's done.
Yep.
And then what happened is the strikers started learning enough jiu-jitsu or wrestling in order to combat the grappling
Right.
and then keep it on the feet.
Right.
Or these guys that were like wrestlers were able to keep the jiu-jitsu guys away from them enough and then developed enough striking where they could have an advantage.
Right.
And then we had this cool era where it was like the strikers were starting to dominate that had good wrestling backgrounds, right? It was like these wrestlers that learned really good striking, right? And I wonder now if we're starting to get into this era where it's like those jiu-jitsu guys that was kind of like been forgotten almost.
Yeah.
If these jiu-jitsu guys started to get good enough at striking, where their striking was elite, like this Charles Oliveira guy, like he
Right.
can bang with you.
He can go.
He can
throw.
go with you, he can throw. But if it goes to the grounds, be careful.
Right.
Because when Dustin and Oliveira were swinging on each other, when they were standing up and striking, Dustin was winning those exchanges.
Right.
But Dustin knew if this guy gets my back or if he holds me or anything, there's nothing I can do.
Right.
And it's a really good advantage. Just like what happened with Nate Diaz every single fight. Like Nate Diaz could get clipped, go to the ground. You can't go to the ground with him if your jiu-jitsu isn't good.
Right.
You can't, like, you could try to ground and pound him, but if he locks you up, now you're giving him the advantage.
Right.
It's like what Conor would say, just get up.
Right.
Right? It's like I have a bet. I would rather let you get up and recover than be on the ground and be in a dangerous
100%.
position.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I can
so-
outstrike you. Let's go.
There it is. So like Oliveira is like even more dangerous with the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's this kind of new era where these jiu-jitsu guys finally got elite at striking, and now everybody's going to have to get their jiu-jitsu up
Yeah.
because you can't just defend now. Because when you're on your feet, you don't have the same advantage you used to have.
Yeah. Did you watch the Sean O'Malley fight?
Yes,
Bro, I love watching him.
he's great.
He's just so fun.
He's great. And I think Joe brought up an interesting thing about O'Malley, which was he's like, they're bringing him up in the same way they bring up boxers.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Yeah. And usually, actually, what I admire about the UFC is they don't usually do this. Is by the time you're ready to be in the UFC, they figure like you're one of the best fighters, and then we can throw you in with the wolves.
Right.
Maybe give you one fight to see where you are, but then eventually we're just going to basically sink or swim with you.
Right.
And the UFC is such an amazing promotional outlet because they have all the fighters signed. It doesn't matter if you lose. We're going to fight you again. We decide who fights.
Yeah.
But they literally will just be like, hey, we think you're pretty good. We're going to put you in with a guy who has a fucking name. If you beat him, you're going to skyrocket. If you don't, we'll see what happens with you.
Yeah.
And that's also a risk you can take when you're not paying the guys these crazy numbers.
Yeah.
If you have a fighter that's under a contract where he gets $5 million a fight, you better make sure he wins.
Right. You got to be ready. It's too
Don't
much
ya?
invested.
Why would you make him fight some really tough wrestling guy that could potentially hold him down?
Not
And
an
now,
interesting fight, get him injured. Like, yeah.
the model, I know it sounds crazy and like I'm capping for the UFC, but the model, the pay structure creates more entertaining fights,
Right.
incentivizes the entertainment because everybody wants to get the bonuses, and allows you to take fights and lose and keep fighting.
Right.
The structure, at least. But the threshold, they got to be making enough to compensate.
What
Getting
I
punched
think,
in the head.
yes, don't get me wrong. And I don't know what those numbers are, so I have to figure out what
That's
those
what
numbers
I'd
are.
like to know.
Yeah.
But what I hope is that these people like Sean O'Malley learn how to make enough money outside of the sport with the fame that they're getting from it, where they can produce real money. It's like, I'm not crying that YouTube is not paying me more money.
Right.
we're literally creating hours and hours of content for them to put advertising on, and we get a fraction of those advertising. But you know what we did? We went and got our own advertisers.
Right.
Now, if the UFC becomes like NCAA and limits their ability to get sponsorship and all this other stuff and starves out the guy, that's fucked up. But if they're like, yo, do your thing, go teach some seminars here, do classes there, content here, blah, blah, blah.
Advertise for this guy. Be their sponsor.
Use the stardom to create money.
I just want to fight, though. I just want to fight.
Hey,
game
that's
has
like
changed.
That's like comics. They go, I just want to go up. Oh,
I
that's
just want to
cute.
tell jokes.
That's cute. Do you? No shit. We all do.
Yeah.
You want to tell jokes for a living? Well, you might have to do a couple more fucking things.
Yeah.
Don't be a dinosaur.
But if you're a part of a promotion, like they should be able to hook it up. Like if you're a comic, you're just out there on your own, not signed.
There are some that are able to do that. They just won't reach the same heights. You can do that.
Right.
But if you want to find a way to make money, and please believe, the bigger your star gets outside of it, the more you command inside of it.
Yeah.
So it's just this, if you're doing it right, it's this whole self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. Which to me is Sean's leverage, is that like they just see him as a star. They're like,
Yes.
yeah, he's down to play ball. Like he knows how to like get people to watch. He's good at pressers. Like his hair is dyed. Like he knows how to get attention. So let's build him up, give him all the fights that he needs, and then put him in like the big money fights. And
if I'm him, I'm not mad at it because I'm like, shit, I don't want to risk. I want to take a risk making no money.
Right.
I'll take the risk when I'm making the real money. When I re-sign my new contract and I'm getting 5 times more than I am for each one of these fights, I would love to fight the top 5 and potentially lose. I'll potentially lose for millions.
yeah, but you want to be 15-0.
Of course.
Oh, so you said they're bringing him up like a boxer because they're giving him easy fights right now?
That's what it seems like, right?
Yeah, they're not throwing him in with the wolves, which is like traditionally what a lot of times UFC will do.
Usually do.
Take your
Oh,
losses.
okay.
Who gives a fuck?
I mean, if you look at this guy like Michael Chandler, who they signed, right? Like his first few fights in the UFC have been just fucking savages. I think his first fight was against Dan Hangman, right?
Yeah.
Shouts to Dan, love Dan. And he was the guy that came to the Las Vegas show and was saying it this
the
on
Aussie,
stage. Just an absolute savage, right? Then his next fight is against Charles Oliveira, right? Who is the title holder. And then his last fight was against Justin Gaethje. It's just savages.
Right.
Savage after savage after savage. So it's like they're down to play ball, but they don't have anything to lose because they're like, all right, if we believe in this guy, we'll keep giving him shots. And if he keeps fucking up these shots, then we can cut him.
Right.
Like, people might not like the pay structure, but they cannot deny that the product is phenomenal. And we just have to look at how much of that has to do with the pay structure.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, this is not to say that O'Malley's fights were easy. Like, I don't think like they were, maybe like they weren't objectively like the hardest, but like his fight against Chris Matinho was like, I guess not.
It was
that
easy
one.
for him.
Not that one. But like the other fights that he's had. Like,
I mean, his fight against Cheeto Vera wasn't easy, and Cheeto Vera won.
Yeah,
and that
true.
was a big step up in competition. And then so they brought it back down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think, but if I'm him, I'm not mad at that. I'm like,
No, I
yo,
would not be at all.
pay me. If you're going to pay me 20 grand for a fight or whatever the fuck it is, then I'm fighting a 20 grand fighter. And I'm going to pick them apart and entertain and do all these things with very little risk. You got to pay me for risk.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Pay me to get fucked up.
exactly. Like anybody's going to fight a midget for $10,000. Like, there's no risk.
Yeah.
Right.
But $10,000 to fight Rampage?
You think it's an indication to other fighters like, yo, I got to come in with something else to like offer value to the promotion so that they have an incentive to want to build me up?
I think it's a kid who grew up on the internet and understands the game and understands the successful people and how this shit works. You know what I mean?
You saw he came out to the 6ix9ine song?
Yeah, I saw
Like
that.
unreleased, like leaked 6ix9ine track.
Oh, I thought
I
it was
didn't see that.
I didn't know it was an unreleased track.
Yeah, I don't
thought
know
it
if
was.
it came out yet.
Oh, I thought it was just whatever. But yeah, I mean, I got 6ix9ine tattoo. I mean, it's like, to be honest, it's the same way as like any comic that's either doing comedy now or coming into comedy, is they're going to see the way that we've done it and they're going to do that exact same thing. This is just how you succeed in the game.
This is what
right
it
now.
is now.
So it's like, you're going to go, oh, okay, wow, what is Schulz and his boys doing? Okay, this is it. This is how comedy is done now. And that's just what it is. So if you're a young fighter coming up, you're going to be probably on TikTok. You're going to be on YouTube. You're going to be podcasting and going on podcasting. The Nelk boys tell you to come out. You're going to fucking come hang out.
Yeah.
And I know there's motherfuckers out there that just want to get in the gym and bang. And that's cool. You're just not going to make as much money.
Yeah. Or it might take you longer because you're not offering external value to the promotion.
Yeah. And listen, the reality is like 99% of people just aren't good enough to be champion.
Yeah.
But some of you could be entertaining enough to get a shot.
Yeah.
If you're doing anything live, you got to sell tickets, and it's hard to do that with just skill.
Yeah.
You need
Comedy's
some
hard to
personality.
big
People
skill,
need to
but
be
yeah.
attached to you, man.
And that's another thing for Sean is that he has a personality.
And that's the thing with the UFC. Personalities thrive.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't even have to win. But if you have an engaging personality and a really good fight style, you'll keep fighting.
Yeah.
You'll be a fucking commentator. Like they take care of the guys that do good work for the business. Like there's one thing, like you don't have to be the guy who's 20-0 to be one of the commentators.
Yeah.
You just got to be interesting, articulate enough, right? And an engaging personality that people want to see.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I'm a type of person that's like, yo, let me seize the opportunity. Like, you got guys who would be journeymen in boxing making millions of dollars in the UFC. Like Cerrone.
Oh yeah.
With his record, people would call him a journeyman as a boxer.
right.
But in MMA, he was a fucking star. Nate Diaz is a superstar.
Yeah.
Superstar.
Masvidal, superstar.
Masvidal's a superstar. It's like if I'm not the best fighter in the gym, I'm looking at the UFC. I'm like, how do I get in?
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, just let me get in, get one crazy knockout.
Yeah.
You're with the UFC. You are one crazy knockout away from a massive fight.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
And it's the other guys that like when you're the best, you don't really need it as much. You know what I mean? Like Kamaru, like he doesn't have to be doing all the antics and all the crazy shit.
and he'll make less money because of it.
You think so?
Yeah.
But he's already the champ. He's the best.
I know, but it doesn't matter. He needs to fight people. He needs to fight people that will bring those antics. Like his
Yeah.
payday is going to come when he's fighting Colby, and Colby's going to sauce it up. His payday is going to come. He's going to fight Masvidal. Masvidal is going to spice it up and be on all the pods. You know what I mean? Kamaru is in the gym. He's working, and he's the best, and he's undeniable. It is what it is. That's the fact.
But people are trying to get into a fight with him.
100%.
Because he's got the belt. If he just has the belt forever, he'll just make all the money from all the other people doing
Sure,
the antics.
but people won't care to see him lose it or win it if they don't personally value him. But they might care about his opponent. So now he's opponent dependent because
Whereas
you're gonna
Floyd,
be
a lot
fo-
of people wanted
Yeah.
to watch Floyd lose just because they hated him.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
he
foolish
was
to
both.
think that people just care about greatness because casuals don't care about greatness. Casuals care about personality, right? Like we know that even from our game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like the casual is out there for the person that they've engaged with and that they love and for whatever reason they connect with. And that might have nothing to do with how great they are at the sport. So he's going to have to rely on the casuals really loving or hating his opponent in order for him to make the most money. And that's fine too, because he's got the leverage since he got the belt. Them characters, those personality driven fighters need to fight him in order to get the belt.
Right. That's my point. As long as he's got the belt, then he's fine.
He's got, exactly.
And I think he's going to have the belt for a while because he's unbelievable.
Absolutely. But still his biggest payday will not come from another guy who's also really skilled that deserves a fight. It will come from a guy who's got personality and people gravitate to.
Yeah.
Like if he fights Nate Diaz, people are going to tune into that fight because they love Nate Diaz. And then the people who are actually students of the game and really care are going to be like, oh my God, Kamaru Usman is the best that's doing it right now.
Right.
I need to see him fight. But the way you make the real money is when my girl is interested in a fight. You know what I mean? When Akaash goes, we got to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if Conor fights, Akaash is going to watch it.
I'm going to watch.
Kamaru versus Jake Paul. We got to set it up.
Yo,
I would be in.
you'd be in.
Yeah. I'd be in.
And we like Kamaru.
And
We've
Jake
had
Paul would
Kamaru
have been
on
the
pod.
personality.
Yeah.
But Jake is going to bring somebody to it. So it's like, honestly, if I'm Kamaru, I'm just fighting motherfuckers that people hate if I want to be the hero. Like, who do people hate the most in the UFC?
But it's got to be close enough. It can't just be bums that are crazy.
I don't think at this point it matters.
I would think if he's just destroying lower level opponents, people would be like, oh, he's just fighting bums.
I think you get to a level of dominance where it's like, if you're just knocking all these motherfuckers out, you might as well knock the person out that I don't like.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think you're crazy to think that people wouldn't watch a Jake Paul MMA fight against Kamaru.
I mean, yeah, that's insane. But I think people are tuning in. They want to see Jake lose.
That's all I'm saying. As long as they want to see somebody win or lose,
Yeah.
not skill displayed.
Right.
That's for the people who love it.